What is happening, everybody? Trey here, and today, reactions to the classics. We are going to continue our journey through Joni Mitchell's catalog here with the third edition of our top 10 Joni Mitchell list here. This time covering the years 1975 through 1980. And I want to shout out our patron and longtime supporter of the channel, Asmund, who came up with the idea for this series and who submits these lists. So thank you as always, Asmund. You know you're Joni Mitchell, and it has been a blast going through these lists and going through her catalog. I've also been listening through these records that I wasn't familiar with as we go through, and at the end, I believe there's going to be 5 lists of these that Osmond's going to submit. Then at the end, I will go ahead and rank Joni's catalog as well. So be looking forward to that. But I guess we can just get into this list, man. Osmond had a bit of a general write-up before we get into this top 10. He says, some general thoughts. These lists are notoriously difficult to make, and I have had to leave out a lot of great tunes. I really love the albums The Hissing of the Summer Lawns and Ajira, and I could have easily made a list of 10 songs from these 2 records alone, but I still think that some of the more experimental late 70s records also deserve more attention. My goal has been to include at least 1 song from all of her albums, and since you already have a full album review to Ajira, I have tried to limit the number of songs from that album to get to include songs from others. Still, I had to include some Ajira tracks, and I could easily have included a couple more. I also want to stress that this is meant as a personal top 10 and not as a full-on best of. So with that out of the way, thank you again to Asmund, and let's get going on this. I'm going to have the lyrics pulled up to all of these, and there will also be a link in the description for the full video with the music included, because sometimes copyright, gets in the way of what can be uploaded to YouTube. But enough talk, man. Let's just get into this. Number 10 on this list is going to be Overture / Cotton Avenue from Don Juan's Reckless Daughter in 1977. Osmond noted that this is one of Joni's more experimental records. On this song, we especially hear it in the overture part, played with 6 guitars simultaneously and vocal echo effects. I also think that Jaco Pastorius's bass playing on this track is fantastic. The Cotton Avenue part seems like a song about going out to enjoy yourself, dancing, and listening to music. All right, well, very much looking forward to this one. Thank you again to Asmund, and let's get going. All right, the 1-2 punch of Overture and Cotton Avenue, and as the opener to this record, very bold, creative decision by Joni here to start with a tune like this that is so in left field, I guess you could say, from what you expect her normal sound to be. Obviously, as Osmond was noting in the start here, those guitars going at it simultaneously, as well as the layered vocals and the echo effects with that, really with no lyrics, just kind of vocalizing, was impressive for sure. And then, a couple minutes through Overture, Jaco's bass comes in, a lot of almost reverb or some type of effect on it there, and so that was yet again quite notable. And Jaco's bass work continued to go through as we transition into Cotton Avenue. So you still almost had that experimental musicianship going then with Joni's normal type of voice. And just as Osmond was noting, the imagery here was quite notable. Put you right into red sun came rolling down on a gray sky type of night. Somewhere in there's Cotton Avenue. That's where I'm going to take myself tonight, with the spit shine on my dancing shoes. And it seems to kind of carry that I'm gonna go out, be free, enjoy myself, a type of vibe to it. And I like in the chorus, if you got no place special, well then you just go no place special. Some of us don't have that awesome special place, but hey, you make do with what you got, of course. So all in all, man, a interesting Joni track. I'm looking forward because there's another song or two from this record that are going to appear on the list to kind of see what we got. But strong start here, and now we're going to go up to Edith and the Kingpin from the Hissing of Summer Lawns record. And Asmund noted that this is a jazzy song about a new female companion of a gangster arriving in his hometown. In an interview with Mojo magazine in February of '08, Joni was discussing her songwriting, saying, "Sometimes you write about the exact thing you saw, but other times you take something that happened over here and put it with something over there." And Edith and the Kingpin, part of it came from a Vancouver pimp I met, and part of it is Edith Piaf. It's a hybrid, but all together it makes a whole truth. Well, I'm intrigued. Let's see what we got. Edith and the Kingpin bringing a smooth, jazzy atmosphere to this track and this story of a guy who is, kind of that sophisticated, classy criminal, so to speak, man. Conjuring up your images of your Al Capone, the man coming in the suit, kind of got the cops in his pocket, and the lyrics even say as much in this first verse. And it notes the big man, he's not listening. His eyes hold Edith. So, this criminal man, he's caught the love bug with Edith right here. And then, verse 2, we continue to build the story of this dude. Stories are told to Edith here, and all claws are now withdrawn. And I thought that line was pretty tight right there. They say that in challenge they look on. Woman he has taken, grow old too soon. He tilts their tired faces gently to the spoon. I don't know if we had a little drug reference right there with the whole spoon thing, obviously used in music, especially in the 70s a lot to refer to either heroin or cocaine. But who knows? I could be reading a little too much into that, but it seems they take a liking to each other. They're in bed together. They're kind of lovers here, and she earns an appreciation, but an understanding of this Kingpin's lifestyle, so to speak, and they stare into each other's eyes, dare not look away. A bit of that, just smooth jazz inspiration there, and I think that it just fit well with this track, man. I don't have too much more to say about it other than it was solid, man. It was really solid, and I like when Joni plays around with those arrangements, and especially leaning into that jazz nature right there. And speaking of jazz, we're gonna now go to her record Mingus, named after the Titan in jazz, Charles Mingus here, and go to Goodbye Pork Pie Hat. Mingus is Joni's most jazzy record and is a tribute to bass player Charles Mingus. In March of 2020, Rick Moore wrote this in an article on the track. What an assignment this must have been for singer Joni Mitchell to honor the request of one of the great giants of jazz, and put lyrics to some of his classic pieces before he died of Lou Gehrig's disease. Would have been beyond the scope of most writers, but not Mitchell. The album she released after his death, Mingus, contained versions of several songs that in some ways were even more jazzy and avant-garde than Mingus's own original works, with musicians, again, we have Yako on here, and even Herbie Hancock supporting her instantly recognizable voice. One of these songs was, of course, Goodbye Pork Pie Hat, one of Mingus's most famous compositions here. So I'm looking forward to see what Joni does with this. The only Mingus record I've heard in full is The Black Saint and the Sinner Lady, and man, that's a 5-star out of 5 record for sure. And the song was originally composed by Charles as a tribute to his friend, the great tenor sax player Lester Young. The Prez. Mitchell created a lyrical tribute to Young that addressed racism and the New York nightlife, as she explained to then Rolling Stone writer Cameron Crowe in a rare interview. Quote, "We went through some of the old songs. Goodbye Pork Pie Hat was the one we decided on immediately. I had to find my own phrasing for the notes. I had a block for 3 months. It's hard for me to take someone else's story and tell only his story in a song. Charlie assailed me with historical information about Lester and his family background concerning his early playing days. He used to tap dance in his family band with his father and mother. He was married to a white woman traveling through the South in a time where that was taboo. A lot of the great black musicians were forced into cellars or the Chitlin circuit. So I had all these details, but I still couldn't, with any conscience, simply write a historical song. Then something magical happened. One day, Don, alias, and I, he plays congas on the album, were on the subway and we got off, I don't know why, 2 stops early. 2 blocks ahead of us, under these orangish New York lights, we saw a crowd gathered. So we head towards the crowd. When we get up on it, it's a group of black men surrounding 2 small black boys. It's about midnight and the 2 boys are dancing this very robot-like mime dance. They were dancing under one of those cloth awnings that goes out to the curb of a bar. I look up and the name of the bar is the Pork Pie Hat. The music they were dancing to was jazz coming out of the jukebox inside. There were big blown up pictures of Lester Young all around the place. Wow. It was wild. That would have taken me back as well, Joni. So that became the last verse of the song. In my mind, that filled in a piece of the puzzle. I had the past and the present, and the 2 boys represented the future, the next generation. To me, the song then had a life of its own. So with that said, everybody, setting the stage, let's get into it. Goodbye Pork Pie Hat off of Mingus, and man, I just love the story. I think Joni just knocked this out of the park. As she, quoted herself, how difficult it is to come up with lyrics to, somebody else's work and story and do justice to that and, kind of tackle a topic that's obviously a bit intense and heavy. Speaking of Lester here and his life, I thought that she built him up quite well. And then especially in that second verse about him and his wife, black and white, and some saw red and drove them from their hotel bed. Just building that racially charged scene in the South, and then they go to New York. It's very unlikely we'll be driven out of town or be hung in a tree. That's unlikely. And underneath this, man, you just have the great Herbie Hancock on the keys. That bass work yet again by Yako was unbelievable there, and throwing the saxophone for good measure. Obviously, you have some very capable musicians on this as well, contributing to that jazzy Mingus-like feel. And then I like that we had the quote from Joni before this, telling how she actually did see these boys out dancing, dancing to the jazz music and whatnot, and how Lester was up on the walls and whatnot. And then that comes together full circle here in the track and the final couple verses here. And then she even notes towards the end, talking about now Charlie's down in Mexico with the healers. I don't know if he did that later in his life when he was dying and looking for an experimental treatment with Lou Gehrig's disease, but it ends on that note of kind of a happiness and hope that so the sidewalk leads us with music to 2 little dancers dancing outside a black bar. There's a sign on the awning that says Pork Pie Hat Bar, almost in the sense that Mingus really did make it. He is a legend, and his body of work will continue to be talked about for many years to come. So bravo to Miss Mitchell for paying homage right there. And now, y'all, we're gonna go back to Don Juan's Reckless Daughter with the track Talk to Me, coming in at number 7 on Asmund's list here. He notes that this song tells the story of a mysterious and silent man that she would like to talk to. According to Joni Mitchell's biography, the song was written because of her frustration about the fact that Bob Dylan had only briefly talked to her twice when she joined in on his Rolling Thunder Revue tour in 1975, while she wanted to have a real and deeper conversation with him. Interesting, man. It all points back to Mr. Zimmerman. Ain't that the truth? Let's see what we got. All right, Talk to Me, and Joni, man, bearing it all on the table here. I'll start musically on this. I think here you had, yet again, Jocko's unbelievable bass work kind of at the forefront musically, and Joni going with the acoustic guitar as well, and a lot of lyrics in this track for how it's a shade under 4 minutes, and Joni brings a lot to discuss here. And once this is about Dylan, and you know about his persona, through the years. This definitely fits. She notes here, just kind of pleading, "Come and talk to me, please talk to me, Mr. Mystery." She notes we could talk about Martha, we could talk about landscapes. I'm not above gossip, but I'll sit on a secret where honor is at stake. Some great couplets in here. And she notes we could talk about anything from Jesus and Hitler and Howard Hughes to Charlie Chaplin. Any old thing would do. She notes that you could talk like a fool, I'd listen, you could talk like a sage. Through all this, Joni's kind of, I think, crying out, wanting to just have maybe that respect from Dylan, respect from somebody that's in her similar circles. And I don't know about the Dylan and Joni relationship here to know, if Bob ever really gave her that. If not, he definitely should have. But you know how Bob is, a very mysterious dude who doesn't give out those interviews or conversations that easily. And she even notes that in here, she says, "Is your silence that golden? Are you comfortable in it?" And then we get into a little bit of the psyche of Bob here that makes for good discussion. Is it the key to your freedom, talking about the silence, or is it the bars on your prison? Are you gagged by your ribbons? Are you really exclusive, or just miserably? You spend every sentence as if it was marked currency. That mysteriousness, that intrigue that Dylan carries with him and has carried with him throughout his career, it does come at a bit of a price. And especially if you're not willing to go out and talk to fellow artists and this or that, do you miss out on some stuff? You could argue that you definitely do in Dylan's case. So I liked the pleading nature and just the questions that Joni threw out to Bob here, and the little ending chicken squawking little bok thing, showed Joni having some fun as well. So all in all, man, solid tune right there. And now we're gonna go up to number what do we got? Number 6 on this list. In France, They Kiss on Main Street, going back to the hissing of summer lawns. Asmund noted about this one. This song was released as a single and reached number 66 on the Billboard charts. It is a jazz rock song about coming of age in a small town in the 1950s rock and roll era. We have Jeff Baxter of Steely Dan and Doobie Brothers fame can be heard playing guitar on this track. All right, in France, They Kiss on Main Street. And just gotta say, man, the chorus here, probably my favorite part of the tune. It definitely could feel that smooth Steely Dan, harmonization on this. And we're rolling, rock and rolling. I thought Baxter did well in his, short and sweet solo that he had on this. And Joni, as you would expect in her lyricism, paints that 1950s, atmosphere quite well. Everything from just the neon lights to the dress that was going on to just kids cruising around, having a good time, falling in love, being young, man. And I think Joni is able to wrap all of that up into a beautiful story right here. And first verse kind of sets the stage where we are in the 50s, and we get going. We're downtown, we got the dance halls and the cafes, man. You just picture a scene that's just booming with life, so to speak. You got the tight dresses and rhinestone rings drinking up the band's beers. Young love was kissing under bridges, kissing in cars and cafes. And that's where we get the first thing. In France, They Kiss on Main Street. And then you throw in the pinball arcade. These young kids just hanging out with each other, having a good time. She's got the names for the people. Chucky has the car, Ron had the car, Leadfoot Melvin with his hot wire head. We'd all go looking for a party, looking to raise Jesus from the dead. And then you'd be kissing in the back seat, listening to what the Brando-like thing. Shout out Marlon Brando getting name dropped in here. I just thought it was a pleasant tune. Definitely the most single-esque song, and it obviously was, that we've had up to the list so far. Could see that being a nice late-night radio jam right there back in the day. And now we're going to get to the first Ajira track. We got Coyote, a really strong tune from this record. Quite enjoyed this whenever we reviewed it, probably well over a year ago now. But Asmund noted the song was written on November 25th, 1975, while Joni was on Dylan's Rolling Thunder Review Tour, somewhere between Hartford, Connecticut and Augusta, Maine. She debuted an early version of this track at the concert in Augusta, saying it was written yesterday. So she did that on November 26th of 75. The song is about a one-night stand with a ladies' man, which most likely was a playwright and actor Sam Shepard, whom she met on the tour with Dylan. It was the lead single and a significant musical departure where hissing was ornate with pianos, layered vocals, and percussion. Coyote was stripped down to an electric and acoustic guitar and a fretless bass guitar played by Jacko. Here, lyrically, it is concerned with the difficulty of establishing any sort of connection with people who come from different sets of circumstance. In particular, it describes an encounter between the narrator and Coyote, a ranch worker who, as we noted, is probably Sam Shepard. It represents the nature contrasted with the narrator's big city, presumably LA life, where pills and powders are necessary to get them through this passion play. That line also references drug use on the Bob Dylan Rolling Thunder Revue concert tour, which Mitchell joined in the fall of 75. She would later perform this track with the band at their 1976 farewell concert, which of course was eventually released under the title The Last Waltz. So, I've heard this before. It's enjoyable. If you haven't heard it, man, you are in for a treat. All right, y'all, Coyote bringing it the opener from Ejira. And man, Joni covers a lot of ground in this song. Tons of lyrics here. Starting off in that first verse, you're introduced to that, bit, otherworldly-esque electric guitar. I love the effect on that. It just has a bit of bounciness to it that it kind of gets stuck in your head quite quickly, and that on top of a Jacko's the bass work, it just yet again works so well. Him and Joni, they come together, man. They come together quite nicely in all their team ups here, and on this record in particular, it's no different. But she notes, "No regrets, Coyote. We just come from such different sets of circumstances," and she continues in that first verse to show the big differences between her and then this Coyote here. And she notes, "You're not a hit and run driver, no, racing away. You just picked up a hitcher, a prisoner of the white lines on the freeway." And that's that refrain that we get at the end of each verse here, a prisoner of the white lines on the freeway. Kind of, I've always interpreted this as somebody like Joni, a musician who's constantly on the road, constantly traveling, a prisoner of almost that lifestyle, having to go from one place to the next. So she's able to kind of take a break from that life whenever she's with this Coyote here. She continues to go. She talks about a farmhouse burning down. I don't know if that actually happened on the old Rolling Thunder tour here, but I'll have to read into that a little bit. Then she kind of notes how they met up. The Coyote was at my door, wouldn't take no for an answer. They start dancing. The alcohol gets involved. One thing leads to another there. And then she, in that third verse, describes an actual coyote seeing one, looking one right in the face when they were again traveling on the road, kind of comparing that to this coyote who took her for that one night stand. And so that yet again was an interesting play on words there, and great little metaphor. She notes, "No regrets, Coyote. I just get off up a ways. You just picked up a hitcher, a prisoner of the white lines on the freeway." And she finishes it off by noting that she sees him then in the coffee shop, and it's just kind of business as usual. Either he's going to have to stand and fight or take off up out of here. I try to run away myself, to run away and wrestle my ego. So again, we get some introspection from Joni Hill. And with this flame, you put me here in this Eskimo, in this hitcher, in this prisoner of the fine white line. So she's back on the road. I think kind of business as usual here. But hey, she always she got to write a good song about this experience with old Sam Shepard allegedly here. So man, just a killer way to open that record off. And if you never listened to Ejira in full, be sure to do yourself a favor and do that. And now we're going to go to Shadows and Light with the track The Dry Cleaner from Des Moines, the 1980 live record. Asmund notes that it might be the most underrated and overlooked gem of her catalog. This song is originally from Charles Mingus and features lyrics by Joni, put to Mingus's melody. The song tells a story about a dry cleaner from Des Moines who is lucky when gambling, but I think the main thrill of the song is the magnificent bass work, yet again, by Jaco Pastorius. The fantastic drumming by Don Alias, and Joni's fantastic vocal control, which I think is even better in this live version than on the studio version. Man, I'm gonna have to, if Asmund thinks this record's one of her most underrated things, I'll definitely have to check that out. But let's see what we got. All right, the dry cleaner from Des Moines, starting with the story itself. Yet again, a story that just kind of sucks you in right away. Talking about this dude who is just, he's got the hot touch, man. I think she even, what she calls him, like Midas in a polyester suit. This guy's on fire here at the slots. He's the dry cleaner, man, from Des Moines. Just kind of a regular dude, but for some reason, man, anything he does, he's getting the win, whereas poor Joni over here, she's just keeps putting the coins in, and she's coming up empty. She's coming up empty every single time. She knows, I'm losing my taste for fruit after seeing this dude come up with the 3 oranges, lemons, cherries, and yet again, she just kind of paints the scene of the casino in there. She calls it Fool's Paradise, which is quite an apt description of casinos when you think down to it, man. And instrumentation just blew me away here, especially Jaco's bass line at the very end. The horn arrangements were also just out of this world, and then Alias's drumming in that first 30 seconds, kind of setting the scene, was just phenomenal, out of this world, man. Joni was amazing, hit some unbelievable high notes in a live setting, sounded even better than she does sometimes in the studio and album versions that we hear. So all in all, just a fantastic display of musicianship right here. And if that doesn't kind of get you fired up and impressed, man, I don't know what will. That's going to be in my favorite tracks as we get to those at the end. But there's still 3 songs left, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going back to Don Juan's Reckless Daughter with the track Dreamland right here, coming in at number 3 on Asmund's list. He noted, Asmund did, that this song features only percussion, among others from some Brazilian percussionists, and vocals. Chaka Khan features on backing vocals, actually, and the song is about dreaming of escape to the heat of the tropics during a cold winter. All right, let's hear what we got. Wow, powerful track here in Dreamland. Obviously the percussion and just how booming and constant it was, and just the rhythm it provided. It was the instrumental highlight for me here. I thought Chaka Khan's backing vocals were really solid as well, man. Just kind of gave yet again that totally different feel and genre style that Joni can show, just even on this list, let alone and the previous ones. All the different types of music that she can use her voice with and meld with, and she's yet again quite versatile, and this song is no different right here, man. Totally different from anything on the list we've had up to this point, and yet again she's kind of describing this this far away land. I think you can even interpret it as possibly Africa or somewhere in that area, noting that it's a long way from Canada, a long way from the snow chains. As you know, Snow Park is to their name. Black babies covered in baking flour. The cook's got a carnival song. We're gonna lay down someplace shady with Dreamland going on. Then we get the Dreamland, Dreamland, Dreamland. Then talking about Chris Columbus came a marching out of the waves to claim the beach and all concessions in the name of the suntan slaves. Joni here also tackling some intense topics right here, and talk about just the differences in the culture here, and that desire to kind of to go on there, propped up on a samba beat with Dreamland going on. She then heads on back to her place, I think with an added appreciation of how other cultures work and interact with each other, and yet I think still noting that at the heart of it, humans got a lot more in common with each other than they have separate. So all in all, man, I thought that the addition of Khan on the backing vocals was a good touch, and that just that booming percussion was a picture-perfect instrumental backing for a track like that, man. So now we're up to number 2, going back to the hissing of summer lawns. We got Shadows and Light here. Asmund notes, this song features only Joni herself on synthesizers and overdub vocals. The song is a poetic exploration of the contrast of light. Shadows and Light, bringing it at number 2. Highly impressed with it. I mean, this is piggybacking off my point about how Joni can, blend with any type of style or instrumentation. Coming off Dreamland, you get this, which is obviously totally different. First time in this list, we've gone all in with the synthesizers here, and I just enjoy how they were totally then stripped back. And then we were just having Joni's voice a cappella, and then they layered her voice, and it just came in so beautifully, and then brought the synthesizers back into fruition. And lyrically, yet again, showing that dichotomy, even from those first couple lines, and it has some source of light, blindness, and sight. And she notes, devil of cruelty, drawn to all things, devil of delight, mythical devil of the ever-present laws, governing blindness, and sight. And she plays on this idea of cruelty and delight as we continue on through the track. And then she notes in that second verse, God of cruelty, drawn to all things, God of delight, mythical God of the everlasting laws, governing day and night. So where we have blindness and sight, second verse we got the day and night. And then when we talk about how people, judge what's wrong, what's right, now it's man of cruelty, mark of Cain, hidden some biblical references up in here, drawn to all things, man of delight, born again, yet again, hidden up the biblical references. Man, this is one that's definitely gonna get the heart from me here. I was highly impressed and thought the synthesizers just sounded otherworldly, and blended it so well with Joni's voice here, and Joni sounded fan-freaking-tastic. So now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for our number 1 song on this list. Asmund's, I think, curated another fantastic list, man. He's 3 for 3 on these. And we're going back to Ejira, and we're going to go with the track Amelia. This track was inspired by her breakup with then boyfriend John Guerin. It interweaves the account of a desert journey she embarked upon with the story of Amelia Earhart, the female aviator who mysteriously vanished during a flight over the Pacific Ocean in 1937. Joni has said about the background of the song that I was thinking of Amelia and addressing it from one solo pilot to another, sort of reflecting on the cost of being a woman and having something you must do. The song fluctuates between the keys of F major and G major without ever totally resolving, which gives the song an unsettled feeling. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't heard this one, this is another really strong tune. Afterwards, I will give my overall thoughts on the list and my favorite tunes. What a way to end our list here, ladies and gentlemen, with Amelia, and named after the great Amelia Earhart. And man, I just quite enjoyed the way Joni ends yet again with that motif, Amelia. It was just a false alarm. Here, talking about the false alarm at the very start with the 6 jet planes. And as we go on, Joni opens her heart up a little more, talking about how tough it is for her to let a lover in, to open herself up in that way. And that those false alarms, I guess, of love that kind of go through here. As she notes in verse 4, I wish that he was here tonight. It's so hard to obey his sad request of me to kindly stay away. So this is how I hide the hurt. As the road leads cursed and charmed, I tell Amelia it was just a false alarm. Just, yet again, such poetic lyrics. I need to shout out the vibraphone usage as well. Gave it a bit of that sweet timbre. And the Larry Carlton guitar work, yet again, was quite stellar, I think, as well. Nothing overpowering instrumentally, which you don't need it, I think, in a track like this, where the story just really grips you in. And she brings in some of the flying and aviation in the latter parts of the song, even shouts out the Icarus myth, Icarus flying too close to the sun, his wings melted, and Joni almost compares that to her love life in a sense. She knows, maybe I've never really loved. I guess that is the truth. I've spent my whole life in clouds at icy altitude, and looking down on everything, I crashed into his arms. So yet again, she's going into that lover's arms, wondering though, if this is going to be it. Is this going to be true love, or am I just going to at some point put myself at a distance to him, or vice versa? She pulls into the motel, dreaming of those 747s, dreams Amelia, dreams and false alarms. Just a beautiful, wonderful track that I think is worthy of being the number one on here. So shout out to Joni for that. That's a fantastic track, and it's been a fantastic list, man. Getting to my favorites on here, I'll throw out Amelia and Coyote, since those two I already was familiar with. They both would be among my favorites, though. But Shadows and Light coming in at number 2 with the synthesizers and the layered vocals of Joni. That just blew me away. I'm going to give the nod to that. Goodbye Pork Pie Hat as well. I quite enjoyed the jazzier tunes on this, and there were a lot of them on this top 10 list. So just taking that classic Mingus instrumental and being able to add a gripping story with it, quite impressive. And then the Dry Cleaner from Des Moines, that was just an unbelievable display of musicianship, a live performance that sticks with you. So those are going to be my favorites. But every song on this list, I either enjoyed or at the very least appreciated the musical direction that Joni was kind of aiming for on some of these tracks. And just overall thoughts again, man, Joni continues to impress as we take a gander through her catalog. I'm looking forward to listening to these albums now in full and continuing to update my little discography ranking. Looking forward to seeing how that's all going to shape up. It's a tough task for sure. But from this list, let me know your favorites on here and what didn't make the cut that you also enjoy from the 75 to 1980 period. Be sure to give our dude Asmund some love for coming up with this series, and be sure to hit that big red subscribe button so you don't miss out on the coming months where we have more Joni Mitchell coming your way. But until then, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Happy listening, and I will see you.